I think we're going to definitely see that, especially in the two-row crossover. We think there'll be like 50 to 100 new models.
While Barra and LS sycophants fill the internet with incessant bleating about which junkyard engine is best, the rest of us got properly excited when Ford whipped the covers off its 2020 F250 Super Duty pickup truck. The blue oval walked away from traditional cam and block V8s in the late 90s, but its latest pick-em-up has gone back to an overhead valve pushrod design and big cubes. Say hello to Ford's Godzilla 7.3. Join us as we dive right into Ford's all-new engine that shocks the entire car industry. Named after the fabled king of the monsters, Ford's new engine should have street machinists excited. While the 5.0-liter Coyotes and mod motors have been increasing in popularity of late, the sheer size of their overhead cam cylinder heads and expense make them less appealing to punters repowering cars. Aspirated Godzilla combos with a mild cam have made up to 600 HP on an engine dyno, while a spicier aspirated combo went 790 HP. Running on C16, that engine featured Wisecoat 12.5. 1 pistons and MGP aluminum rods, a Charlie Westcott mechanical roller cam, billet intake, Jessel keyed lifters, trend push rods, 90mm square drive-by-wire throttle body off a GT 350 Mustang, upgraded rockers and titanium valves. And that's before they fitted the Whipple 3-liter blower. Godzilla sells for you site $1,150 through Ford Performance Parts in the USA. Coming with an 80mm square drive-by-wire throttle body, plastic intake manifold, exhaust manifolds, ignition coils, 7.5 liters aluminum sump and a factory flex plate. In production trim, the 7.3-liter, 90-degree V8 spits out 320 kW, about 430 HP at 5,500 RPM, and a stump pulling 644 Nm, 475 pounds of torque at 4,000 RPM. That may not sound like a whole lot, but remember, this is in bone stock production trim for use in giant workhorse pickup trucks, vans, and commercial vehicles, where reliability and longevity is key. Going by online sources, the Godzilla tapes up very close to a traditional small block Ford at 730mm squared long, timing cover to rear of block, 585mm squared wide, across valve covers, and 635mm squared high. This means it is approximately 5 centimeters wider across the rocker covers than a 351 Windsor, and approximately 3 centimeters longer. It weighs in at a hefty 263 kilograms, thanks in part to the iron block, the upside of that being enhanced durability and longer life expectancy. With a 107.2mm squared bore and 101mm squared stroke, the Godzilla spans 7.3 liters, or 445 CI in the old money, yet Ford considers the engine a small block due to the 245mm squared about 9.65 in deck height and tight 11.53mm squared burr spacing. The iron block is skirted for increased strength and features extra external webbing for improved rigidity. With 6-bolt mains and a forged steel crank, the Godzilla looks to be a stout package, especially as Ford claims that much of the design of the 10.5.1 comp cast aluminum slugs carries over from the twin-turbo EcoBoost performance motors. Additionally, piston cooling oil squirters help cool the backside of the slug and prevent detonation under heavy load. And this is all controlled by the variable displacement integrated oil pump. Chain driven off a crank-mounted sprocket ahead of the timing chain, that variable pressure oil pump could provide issues when it comes to fitting the engine into cars with lower ride heights, as it affects clearance around the factory 7.5-liter aluminum sump. Similarly, the Godzilla comes equipped with an integrated oil cooler on the oil pan, sitting on the left-hand side. As the variable cam timing has up to 50 degrees of movement in the cam, punters wanting high lift and Duritan cam swaps will need to fly cut the pistons for clearance to the intake valve. Cam timing lockout kits will likely hit the aftermarket soon, as these products already exist for overhead cam mod motors and GM pushrod engines. Michigan-based Team Z Motorsports fitted one into a Fox body Mustang back in January 2020, and it apparently dropped in place with a Mustang 10-speed auto once the factory oil cooler was removed. Team Z stated its intention to produce a kit to relocate or delete the oil cooler, which Ford had intended more for heavy-duty towing applications. The variable pressure oil pump and factory variable cam timing mean that ECU choice will be key. Nearly every Godzilla we've seen running in the USA is wired with an O-style computer from OBR. However, Haltech is keen to do R&D, and Holley has also indicated its desire to work on an ECU that will control all the factory features. While General Motors has moved its pushrod engines to direct injection, the Godzilla uses more traditional port-style fuel injection and also features an 80mm squared drive-by-wire throttle body on the composite intake manifold. The intake sits above a drive alley and mounts on a flat surface to improve sealing to the aluminum cylinder heads, which include steeply angled intake ports and progressive rate B high valve springs, with 55mm squared intake valves and 42mm squared exhaust valves. Ford claims the wedge-shaped combustion chamber and centralized spark plug location allow a higher compression ratio for improved efficiency and performance, while the heads boast a shallow valve angle to keep valves away from the cylinder wall, which improves flow. Godzilla wears forged aluminum rockers using nitrided roller bearings, which work with the hydraulic roller lifters and single-phase variable valve timing, while the cam uses 960mm squared bearing journals to reduce deflection. Ford Performance Parts recently announced its plan to release a control pack for the Godzilla, which will simplify the process of swapping the motor into an older car. In much the same vein as Chevrolet Performance's highly successful Connect and Cruise packs, the kit is slated to come with an ECU, wiring harness, drive-by-wire throttle pedal, and air box assembly. The first iteration of these control packs will cater to auto transmissions, with a manual variant to follow at some stage. The hot-up arm of the Blue Oval is also developing front drive assembly options for Godzilla swaps, along with bare blocks and head castings, crankshafts, and individual componentry. Ford Performance Parts' Mike Goodman also confirmed the existence of a far spicier Godzilla engine that will be coming, codenamed Megazilla. So far, Whipple and Praharger have both released blower options for the new 7.3-liter. The Whipple Stage 2 Gen 5 is a water-to-air intercooled 3.0-liter top-mount unit and is claimed to inflate a Godzilla from the 430 HP touted in the user manual to 700 HP at the flywheel and over 1000 Nm. Meanwhile, Praharger's Pon SC21 side-mounted to a similarly stock Godzilla made over 600 HP on a claimed 6 to 8 psi. As the aftermarket race to develop parts for the new engine intensifies, at least one shop in the USA has broken the 1,100 HP barrier with two turbos strapped to a largely stock Godzilla. See sidebar, PP 110 to 111, and more are promising to push this motor hard. Australia's Herod Performance enjoys close ties to Ford Performance in the USA, and bossman Rob Herod confirmed there's a 7.3 Godzilla crate motor on its way to the company's Melbourne facility at the time of writing this story. We can't wait to see these bad boys start popping up in the junkyards and through crate engine resellers, as they are sure to make huge juice with the right parts bolted on. So, Scott Merkel from Merkel Race Engines Murrenhau, New York set the internet ablaze when he made more than 1,100 HP on an engine dyno with a basically stock Godzilla. The Performance Engine shop strapped a pair of VS Racing 7875 turbos and frozen boost water-to-air intercoolers onto the 7.3 liters Ford, plumbed a set of ID 1050X injectors into the heads, and tapped a 15 psi tune into the OBR Euro 8 ECU. That's it, right down to the O valve springs, Scott says. I've been aware of this engine and its development for roughly 4 years, as my brother Todd is a Ford engineer and has been on the development team designing and testing the Godzilla. We already knew this thing is a beast and worth the effort in creating multiple performance versions. Scott points to the engine's size and ability to breathe as reasons for fellow Boost fans to get excited about this new offering from Ford. He says this engine has a real good induction system, is not short on volume, and is rugged enough in stock form to make some impressive figures. I believe the mod motor will have a following for years to come, as Ford doesn't seem to have immediate plans to put a Godzilla into a factory car, but performance transplants are another story. I'll attempt to push the aftermarket envelope to make Godzilla transplants cost-effective and sensible in just about any vehicle.